She is now an ordained minister. She's the director of Transformational Programs at the Foret Conference Retreat Center here in Colorado. And she has been on the bus with us for the last 2.5 weeks as our volunteer. What is so extraordinary about this human being is that she knows that what we need is more than resistance in this time in history. We need to practice the world we want in the space between us. And last year, I was able to come to Foret and see the practice space that she created. And I was so moved. And that experience was the precursor to our bus tour all across the country. And on that bus, she has been crucial to making our bus a practice space. We grieve, we rage, we might have been a dance party somewhere along the way. There is joy on this bus. So I'm so honored to introduce you here tonight. Please join me in welcoming Reverend Logan Bennett.
Hi. Hello. Reverb.
Logan, you're usually back there running around making the whole show happen. I'm so happy that you were up here with me.
I know, I got to watch the whole thing.
You got to watch the whole thing. So my first question for you is, what is it like? I mean, these are the students we were with today. You were just them, and now you're back on a bus that says revolutionary love is the call of our times, offering this to your alma mater. What is that like for you?
I think, there's a lot of things that I expected about it, and there's a lot of things that were totally unexpected until this started. Like, we talked about it right
tonight,
before.
just now.
Just during the meditation, during the music.
Wow.
New things happened. Y'all, I've seen this show,
every
a
night.
dozen times. And there's new things. There's certain elements, it feels very full circle. I was a sociology major, I had a religion minor. I was the interfaith liaison for the chaplain's office for Chaplain Kate Holbrook, right up there. I was able to live in the interfaith house, and I I was a liaison to all the different groups, and now I create spiritual and interfaith retreats for people of all ages, and it's come full circle, and that's the expected part. The part that is unexpected, and I had forgotten this until today. I was here at this building in 2009 in the spring when I found out that my grandmother had died. And so when I'm sitting here and you're doing the meditation that I've done a bunch of times, and I often think of my grandma, or your grandma, I felt her in a different way, and I remembered this meditation I had, this meditation vision that I had of ancestral healing, of all of the women in my family lined up in one big line like dominoes, and I felt like everybody's pressure was on me. I was the last one in the line, and everybody's leaning on me. And I was able to transform that into this imagining of what does it take for my own liberation, and how do I pass that back to my mother, who is here somewhere. She's here somewhere. To my mother, who is alive. To my grandmother, who is no longer alive. To her mother, who is no longer alive. And I envisioned this transformation, and I did not expect to think about that today, but this healing can go forward and it can go backwards. And so I feel like I'm standing at this intersection of healing that has somehow been a part of school for me since I chose my major. Or maybe before.
It is such a stunning image. that it can go forward and it can go back, and it's all happening within you. And I think about the work that you do, the way that your heart is so fully open to what's happening in the world. And yet you still choose to create these spaces, these practice spaces of love and liberation. And I know that that takes internal work to be able to do. I remember we were on a virtual Zoom date before we started this tour, and you asked a question in the Q&A. You said, Valerie, I'm with you. I'm with you. But what if? What if this is the darkness of the tomb? And I asked you what your wise woman said to that. What does your wise woman say now?
So thanks for turning the question back on me like every good teacher, right? But I said I think it doesn't matter because they're both thresholds, right? Birth is a threshold, death is a threshold, and both of them require incredible bravery, incredible love, incredible strength, hope, better done in community. The work of that threshold crossing is the same. And I also think something that has nuanced since then too is that we choose. So there is death all around us all the time. We see it all the time in our own lives, in society, and the news. There's death around us every day. Like you say, that ash in your mouth, there are days where I choke on it. And we have to choose if that death gets the final say or if we're going to find life in it. And I think that the potential is always the same. The threshold is always the same. And it's about how we choose to cross it.
I want to know how you cross it. There are some days, on those deadly days, where it's so hard to feel hope. I mean, some nights hope is like a bright, luminous full moon. Like, I feel it so bright. And other days, hope is just a crescent, or it's not there at all. Like, hope for me waxes and wanes. And on those new moon nights, when it's all dark, I realize what matters is the work my hands do. Can I still labor in the dark? And this is why going back to my ancestors' wisdom was so important. Like, why are we saying, stay in Chartikala Vichidendo all the time? Why do we say that? It's like, stay in Chartikala, ever-rising joy, even in the darkness. Ever-rising spirits. And it took me, my 40s. I hope you're like 18, 20. Like, I hope you all know this now. To protect spaces where one can cultivate joy is not only our greatest act of resistance, it's how we embody the world we want for everyone. And so on those dark days, we have dance time in our homes. Like, we turn up the music. 2016 election night, I did not feel like dancing. And my son's like, dance time, mommy? And my husband's like, your rules, this is what you said, and we have to do it every night. So we turn up the music, and it's baby, you're firework. And I'm like a zombie. I'm a total zombie. And then I'm finally dancing with my son, and throw me in the air, mommy. I throw him in the air, and he's laughing, and I'm laughing. We're laughing. If someone looked into our apartment on election night, we were celebrating. We were celebrating life. Joy, the world won't give you joy. You have to create the conditions and let it come from the bottom up, and then I could do the next thing. Then I could organize the call and say, okay, how are we going to show up now? And Logan, I have to say, we've been on that bus for a long time. It brought me so much joy to see you on that dance floor.
We had dance party.
And what helps you cross that threshold?
My work. So, yes, it is so easy for me to get stuck in the hopeless part. It's so easy. And it takes work. And it takes reframing. And it takes looking at that threshold and refusing to see death. And, the work that I get to do is life-giving work. And every step of the way, even when I didn't know what the work was going to be yet, it was, how do we give more life? How do we love better? How do we create communities of love? And how do we do that in a way that matters not just for the weekends or the weeks that we're at La Foret, in the cabins and eating dining hall food. Like, how do we do that in a way that births the new world? How do we move forward? And I think that, one of the things that I have just loved learning about from your book is how Lunger started. Mm-hmm. And knowing that, like, the truth and the beauty that we're trying to convey, we can't just talk about it. We have to know it in our bodies. We have to taste it. It has to be irresistible. It has to be sweet. It has to be nourishing.
So the first Sikh ancestors created a practice called Lunger. And it was actually a woman ancestor, Manta Kevi, who said, caste is dividing us. People think they're too good to eat, to sit side by side with another person. So she began the institution of Lunger. And you're supposed to sit in Bangat, an unbroken line. No matter where you're born, high or low, no matter what class, no matter what status, no matter what gender, no matter anything, you're sitting side by side. And every Gurdwara has two chambers. The Divan Hall is where you pray and you meditate, you sing the songs of love. But the Lunger Hall is where you practice that love. You realize that love in serving and taking turns being served. And so Lunger is the name for the communal kitchen that practice still exists today. And what was so cool is that when I came to your place in La Foret, you yourself, I was coming for a keynote. After my keynote, you brought singers to sing Kirtan and you brought Lunger into that space.
Well, Noreen helped, and so did Dilpreet Singh and the Colorado Six. But yeah, because that's what it's about. And that's since then, and since you visited, we launched the Refuge at La Foret, the Refuge. And it's a refuge because it's a place where we get to practice the world as it could be. And then what I tell everybody who comes, but especially the kids, especially the teenagers, especially the little kids, because we have summer camps for grades 2 through 12. We've got little kids, and we got big kids. And what I tell them is don't let the world tell you that it's not possible to change it. Don't let the world tell you that things are this way because they have to be. Because you just created a new world. You know what it feels like in your body. You know what it feels like to show up as your whole authentic self and have people love you and celebrate you and adore you and not ask you to change. And live in that kind of community. You know it's possible. Don't let the world tell you it's not. That's what we do.
We love you, Logan.
Thank you.